Hey guys, we're gonna go over the biggest Raiders. I gotta get used to that. It's been a dumb 2020. As dumber as 2020 year has been, at least one thing concluded. That was the NFL season at Super Bowl 54 when the won the Super Bowl. Oh my God! Yes, it's the only. It's the only pro. It's the only professional league that had a conclusion back in February. But let's go over a team that was nearly at the playoff race, had a weak showing second half of the season. But I want to go over the positives, negatives, whatever they did in the off season, because we're in the month of August now. There's already a lot of stuff going on in college football. I don't know if they're even going to start the season. Thanks, these are students, so the risk of them actually collecting COVID or having a bubble and how they're going to live through that while doing practice is incredibly high. So the circumstances of college football even happening this year is really bad. So I just want to go over this. They had a 7-9 season, starting off pretty well with a 3-2 start over their bye week, and until then they started losing like a lot. They started in a 2-game losing streak against Packers and Texans. They came off in a good sweep of 3 wins against the Lions, the Chargers, and the Bengals, but then they had to play real football teams. No, I'm kidding. The only real football team they had was the Chiefs and Titans. Then they fell off against the freaking Jaguars, and I didn't even know. I checked out the game where they had against the Jets, and they lost to the. No, they did not lose to the Giants, but they did lose terribly to the Jets. And this was when they were following up and they won their next 6 games. It just felt like they couldn't do anything. They have a lack of receiving core that fell up off the deep end. Their secondary really carried them off when they literally had no names on the field. It felt like Derek Carr couldn't get adjusted over from his O line, and he does have a reasonable speed, but he isn't like a mobile quarterback to escape within from the pocket. Is not for him. It's just tough. The improvements off the wall for most of the team did come out off the running game. Now, for Derek Carr, he did play a full season. He started all 16 games, went for 4,054 yards with 21 touchdowns, with a 4.1 for a good TD percentage, and he did get 8 interceptions. So, for most, people would aware that as a good season with a 70% completion rating. That is above average. Really great stats. But it comes over to the completioning scale. He did win 361 out of 515, and it just comes off a deep ball. And he barely got any guys that are fast enough to run up for any of the plays. We also had Mike Glennon being backup. Josh Jacobs, amazing. Amazing off the receiving end, and he played well off 1,000 yards in his first year. Played 13 games, missed out off a short end injury. DeAndre Washington showed up. We had Jalen Richards. Sometimes Derek Carr showed up, and they always tried with the trick plays off the wide receiver, but they fell off of tough games against the Raiders. I mean, no, off the Chargers. A lot over the Chiefs because they couldn't keep up. And they just can't escape the backfield that often. They don't have any threats on the receiving core, and it just didn't feel that well whenever they were trying to move up the ball. So yeah, that's how rough it was watching the Raiders play. And going over the rest of what they had Terrell Williams, of course, Darren Waller. That's a young tight end, but over his stats, he went pretty well. 1,000 yards. He did play really well off 90 receptions. barely used as a halfback option, obviously. He can catch the ball. He has good size. I'll give him that. He did play really well this season. Jordy Nelson, he just felt like he was there. He only had 36 receptions. They played him as an impromptu slot or sometimes off the outside. I just feel like he didn't play well until he had that game against the Packers that they lost. Like, badly. Like, I think by 24 points they lost by. And, of course, barely anybody else. There was, of course, Rico Garfield, Eric Harris, that played tremendously. Underrated secondary, really great off the backfield, swat off the balls off the deep end. I just thought he had some great performances. Even when they were losing, he could barely catch the deep ball, but he's there to swat it when you need to when he needs it deep. This is a kid that they need to keep on the field a lot, as well as Tahir Whitehead. I think they also signed Corey Littleton to help with their linebacker problem. Curtis Riley, P.J. Hall, William Cupton, that I don't think didn't do much this season. I mean, the most forced fumbles coming out of the season did come off, Max Crosby. That is a decent defensive end. We also had Nicholas Monroe, and that's about it. There was also LaMarcus Joyner, that used to be a Ram. And did he produce as well this last season? He played 10. He started in 10 games after the deadline, and majority of what he showed wasn't as impressive as he did last year. That's all I can admit. And all he does is he's just undersized. He doesn't like playing up to the deep ball. Like, none of these guys are unless they're trying to be physical. And they just can't pass rush. They're not good on the blitz. And you guys see when they underperform against teams like the freaking Bengals or like the Packers or some teams that are just not good with their O-line, like the Jets, the Titans sometimes, or the freaking Jaguars. I mean, they did finally pick it up when they beat the Chargers for the last time, and then they just lost against the Denver Broncos when they were starting the Jesus Christ himself, Drew Lock. So, yeah, they ended up off a mediocre record after they were just itching for wild card off week 15 until they were falling off like 2 games below 500. So we knew there had to be a miracle come week 16 that they even follow back into relevance in the wild card. They ended up obviously not coming up short. I knew they were not going to win the rest of the season up. Oh, just to know you went like 7 of it, like 8 and 9 in your last game, in your last couple of games of the season. You think this mediocrity would not end, bro? I mean, you end off of 3 losing seasons in a row, and this is coming off near a decade of mediocrity over the 2010s. With only 1 playoff berth. 1! Over the years with Carlson Palmer, Derek Carr just not getting any support. The Khalil Mack trade, the Amari Cooper trade, John Gruden, and of course, your bullcrap owner. And seeing how you guys come from a 12-4 season, then getting snuffed by the Houston Texans, it just proves that Del Rio. They even had Allen for 1 season. I know for like 3 seasons. And you already start your years with Gruden below 500. With at least a higher pointage than you guys did since 2014. So I guess that's coming from a 452 to a 419. So there's at least improvements over your last 3 seasons. That it seems like you guys find it more easier to score over the ball, but it only comes off the tight end or whenever the halfback is, carrying your team. So what did they do over the offseason? Well, they signed freaking Marcus Mariota, Nathan tight end out of Jason Wilson, Jason Witten, the Shat out of Philadelphia from Nelson Aguilar, Robin Smith, Kyle Wibbler, and Corey Littleton from Los Angeles. And he had some productive seasons, great off the field. He's perfect when it comes to some big blitz plays, and they were really needing for some linebacker depth. So that's the most positive that I'm going to say here. Marcus Mariota, off a one-hit wonder out of Ryan Tannehill having a resurgence season, and even paying him the big bucks to even stay for an extra 2 years. Over for Marcus Mariota, that's been a supportive been on the back burner for a while now. Finally has a chance to, at least learn, pretty much try to improve in a fast amount of time to at least impress Gordon. And over his mobility, it just makes it more of a threat to help with the ongoing improvements on the halfback. So I feel like it was a smart decision to get Marcus Mariota, Mark Thompson, Nicholas Moreau, Demarius Randall. They picked up Nick O'Leary. I don't know what was the reason to get Jason Witten. I really didn't. Over from URAs already have 2 decent tight ends over at the depth points and been literally the only reasons why you guys scored touchdowns next to Jacob Joseph. So I don't know what was the problem with that. I think they also signed Prince Mukamara. Yes. No. So they did, but they waived Nick Nelson. They waived Derek Moncrief. Oh wow, that's. And they re-signed Kellen Doss, the generic speedster. And Nick Bowers, Mondre Harper, Paul Butler. I just hope they sign some of the good, keep their players off big bucks over the summer. They're just getting at least some practice player signings, and the best thing that I saw was Henry Ruggs, Jordan Ross waived from the Seahawks. Do I think like the Raiders have a chance of making it back over the Chargers losing their prime Hall of Fame quarterback? I still think like the Texans are still going to find a way to go like 9-7 or 8-8 and still clinch the South. No, I mean the Broncos are still going to go like probably like 6 wins and still find a way to disappoint. Or shoot, I don't want to say it because I already confused the AFC South team to an AFC West team. The Chiefs are just going to lead the division again, probably an 8-8 Chargers. 8-8 Raiders. But seeing how they haven't done much to improve the majority of their player depth, they did fix on the linebacking scale. I don't know what they did for their draft. We're about to look right now. Because this should be really... Please don't be disappointing. I'm begging you. It's time for a change. They got Henry Ruggs. Never mind. That's Bama's receiver, so never mind. Damon Amonte. Tanner Muse. Lennon Bowden and Byron Edwards. So there's like some help on the linebacking core on the late rounds, but it should have been early to mid rounds. They picked up a receiver, thank God, but it has to be a Mari Cooper replacement and a secondary fixture. I think this was a decent draft. They got the pullaways that they got out of Byron Edwards and, of course, Henry Ruggs off Alabama. So hopefully this becomes one of the better seasons. They at least have raw talent to potentially grow upon, plus two young, competent quarterbacks that obviously need time to grow. Even though Mariota's like, what is he, like 26 or 25 now? So, yeah, that's all I can say about the Oakland Raiders. Dumb phone. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I try to keep up more on the NFL. I know it's been a while since I've been focusing on the NFL, but thanks to majority of lockdown stuff, and I thought it'd be easier until most of the preseason stuff has just been shut off. And, yeah, that's all I can say.